Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what is thinking? Not just the act of thinking, but the very nature of it. The process that happens in your mind every single moment. Most of us live our lives completely unaware of how thought operates. We assume it's natural, automatic, and necessary. But what if I told you that thought, as we know it, is the very thing keeping us trapped? Trapped in cycles of fear, conflict, and endless repetition. Today, we're going to explore the nature of thought, the invisible chains it creates, and how understanding this process can lead to true freedom. So take a deep breath, clear your mind, and let's begin this journey together. When I ask you, what is thinking? What happens in your mind? Do you immediately have an answer? Or do you pause, waiting for your memory to provide one? If I ask you something simple like, what is your name? The answer comes instantly. It's automatic because it's something you've repeated countless times. But if I ask you something deeper, something you've never truly considered, there's a delay, a gap. What happens in that gap is fascinating. Your mind begins to search through its storage, flipping through memories, experiences, and knowledge, trying to find an answer. This is the process of thought, a response to memory. Thought is always rooted in the past. It cannot exist without memory. And memory is nothing more than stored experience. Think about it. Without memory, you wouldn't be able to think. You wouldn't know who you are, where you are, or how to respond to anything in life. But here's the question. If thought is always tied to memory, always tied to the past, can it ever be free? Or is it always limited by what has already happened? Let's break it down even further. Think of thought as a cycle. First, there's an experience. That experience becomes knowledge stored in your memory. From memory, thought arises. Thought leads to action. And through action, you gain new experiences, which are again stored as knowledge. It's a loop. Experience, knowledge, memory, thought, action. This cycle is how we learn to survive. It's how we navigate the world. But it's also how we become trapped. Why? Because memory is inherently limited. It's based on what you've seen, what you've experienced, what you've learned. It can never encompass the totality of life, which is infinite. And yet we rely on this limited tool, thought, to solve every problem, to define who we are, to guide us in life. But here's the truth. Thought can never go beyond its own limitations. It's like trying to see the entire ocean through the lens of a single drop of water. And this limitation creates conflict. It creates division. It creates fear. Let's talk about time. In the external world, time is necessary. It takes time to learn a skill, to build a house, to travel from one place to another. But we've taken this concept of external time and applied it to our inner world, to our psyche. We say, I need time to understand myself. I need time to change. I need time to heal. But is this true, or is it just another trick of thought? When you say, I will change tomorrow, what you're really doing is postponing change. You're creating a gap between what you are and what you want to be. And in that gap, conflict arises. Real change doesn't happen in the future. It happens now. It happens when you see yourself clearly, without judgment, without trying to become something else. And this clarity is only possible when you step out of the psychological time created by thought. Here's something thought likes to tell itself. I am free. But is that true? Thought is always based on knowledge, and knowledge is always limited because it's rooted in the past. Thought can never be free because it's always confined by what it knows. And yet we build our entire sense of self around this limited tool. We say, I am my thoughts, I am my beliefs, I am my memories. But are you? If you look closely, you'll see that what you call you is just a collection of past experiences, stored in memory, filtered through thought. Is that freedom, or is that just another form of conditioning? So what's the alternative? The answer isn't to fight thought or to try to stop it. That's just another trick of the mind. The answer is to observe, to watch thought as it happens, without judgment, without trying to control it. When you observe thought, something extraordinary happens. You begin to see it for what it is, a tool, a necessary tool, but a limited one. In this observation, you create space, and in that space, something new can emerge, a clarity, a stillness, a freedom that has nothing to do with thought. Now let's go deeper. When you come across a question that thought cannot answer, like, does God exist, or what is the purpose of life? What happens? If you're honest, the only true answer is, I don't know. But most of us are uncomfortable with not knowing. We want answers. We want certainty. And so we turn to books, to philosophies, to beliefs. But what if you could stay in that state of not knowing? What if you could simply be present with the fact that you don't have the answer? This state of not knowing is not ignorance. It's complete attention. It's a mind that is free from the past, free from the need for certainty. And in this state, something extraordinary happens. You begin to see life as it is, not as you think it should be. You step out of the matrix of thought and into the vast, infinite reality beyond it. So, let me ask you again. What is thinking? Can you see it for what it is? A movement of memory, always tied to the past, always limited. And can you observe it without judgment, without trying to change it, without identifying with it? This observation is the beginning of freedom. Not the freedom of thought, but the freedom from thought. And in that freedom, you'll discover something extraordinary. A life beyond conflict, beyond fear, beyond the limits of the mind. This is the true awakening, the end of the mental matrix. Are you ready to take the first step? If this resonated with you, take a moment to reflect, observe your mind. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's continue this journey together. And don't forget to subscribe to Matrix Code for more reflections that challenge the way we see the world and ourselves. The matrix is complex, but each of us holds a part of the solution. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and together we'll see beyond appearances.